The Moro Islamic Liberation Front has had ties with Jamaat Islamiyah and Abu Sayyaf. These are two terrorist groups that have been known for their acts of violence that they've committed, particularly with the Abu Sayyaf, which have used extortion, assassination, kidnapping, and other means to terrorize. The Moro Islamic Liberation Front, their ties with Jamaat Islamiyah goes back to the 90s when the group first formed. They had a lot of cooperation with this group until they found out more about their agenda, which when that was discovered, they began to distance themselves from Jamaat Islamiyah, and they don't associate themselves with Jamaat Islamiyah, or try not to, although substantial documentation has shown that there are definite links between the two groups, but they don't try to link themselves with them because it undermines the legitimacy of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front's cause, which they believe they have the right to fight against the Philippine government because of injustices that have been done upon them, and because they feel that some of the islands in southern Philippines are rightfully theirs because they've been there for centuries. Abu Sayyaf is a group that they have had closer ties with. Both Abu Sayyaf and Jamaat Islamiyah have had ties with Al-Qaeda. Abu Sayyaf has received funding from Al-Qaeda, and this has created a lukewarm relationship between Abu Sayyaf and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. As I said before, they use extortion, assassination, kidnapping as their means to terrorize, and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front has has severed their ties with Abu Sayyaf because of these reasons, and also because they tried to have a unity between the two groups, but this wasn't achieved due to the reasons that they had ideological and tactical differences that couldn't be reconciled. The conflict between the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Filipino government doesn't really start until 1994, when they have a major outbreak of fighting between the two. It was over a South Korean company that was working on an irrigation project in the southern Philippines. The Philippine government challenged the Moro Islamic Liberation Front's ability to protect the company, and fighting broke out over the issue. In 1997, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front finally came to the negotiation table to talk over a solution to their problem, which the Philippine government agreed to do. But these peace talks were suspended in 2000 due to the government starting an all-out war. Essentially, the president of the Philippines, Joseph Estrada, said that he was only sending Philippine armed forces into the southern islands to secure a bridge, but these were not his true intentions. He didn't agree with giving land or giving autonomy to the Moro people over the land that they claimed as theirs, and he essentially started the conflict, or restarted the conflict between the two groups. and peace talks were suspended. Peace talks finally resumed, or they started to get back on track when Joseph Estrada was ousted from the government through a coup, and Gloria Arroyo took over, and she, with the help of Malaysia, brought the Moro Islamic Liberation Front back to the negotiation table, and they proceeded to have meaningful negotiations to solve the problem. The Philippine government decided to give several hundred villages, which were agreed upon, plus 712 villages to the Moro people, which they would have autonomy over the situation, or over the region there, where they would be able to create their own police and security force. They would be able to have their own law. Basically, they would be a state within the Philippine Islands. It was this agreement was called the Memorandum of Understanding. However, some of the provinces which were to be included in the area that was to be the Moro peoples, some officials from those areas voiced opposition to the Memorandum of Understanding and filed a petition with the Supreme Court to have them hold the government's ability to vote on the issue until it was brought to the public. The Philippine government ended up backing away from the agreement when they received a lot of unpopular support, and a lot of critics said that they were sacrificing their territory and basically backing away, or backing down to the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. And because of the because of what was being said about the government, they decided to back away from the Memorandum of Understanding and decided to pursue an aggressive campaign against the Moro Islamic Liberation Front's top commanders for accusations that they were attacking civilians, or had attacks on civilians. The government also stated that disarmament, demobilization, and rehabilitation, which the Moro Islamic Liberation Front essentially sees as surrender, would be the framework for future negotiations with the organization. And this essentially broke peace talks down, and armed conflict began between the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Philippine government again. If the United States hadn't tried to have Christianized the Philippine Islands as they did, I don't believe that there would be as much resentment and opposition to the government from the Moro peoples as there is now, and Catholic Filipinos as well, if they wouldn't have oppressed them. Because when they came in, they oppressed the Moro, or they oppressed Islam and tried for a Christian and Hispanic culture. So when they granted the Philippine Islands independence, the Moro peoples wanted a independent state of their own, which they were fighting for, but their requests were ignored, which I think also created resentment for the government, and for the Catholic settlers that came and did the land deals with them, where they confiscated land, or they gave them unfair agreements that essentially made them lose their land, and which made them a minority in a land that they had been dominating for centuries. However, I don't think that the Philippine government will be willing to give into the full concessions of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and I think that they'll try to repress them by force, but I don't think that's going to be a solution that's going to work in the long term, because it's just going to create the same kind of resentment that led to the formation of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. So if they destroy the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and get rid of it, there's just going to be another organization just like it, or that will use more violent measures against the government that's going to spring up and try to oppose the government. So I don't think that's a real solution to the problem. What I see as a solution to the problem is both the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Philippine government making concessions, and the Philippine government needs to try to do more to address the grievances of the Moro people, because so far they haven't been doing such a great job, and it's led to a lot of bloodshed and a lot of conflict in the area.